Hello friend, this is Ryan Hicks with TalkToProfit.com, and today I want to talk to you about going to the next level. Obviously I talk a lot about money and finance and business and success because those are all things that directly affect every other area of people's lives, and they're the most pressing issue. Especially money is one of the most pressing issues that many people have. But I want you to really think about this. Each and every day, what are you doing that's moving you forward to the next level? Now, it doesn't have to be a massive increase, of course, because you can't consistently, day in and day out, make massive increases. At some point, there's a leveling off where you only make small incremental increases. But you can make small incremental increases each and every day. Not just in your finances, your net worth going up, not just in your what you've read today, how many books you've read, the information you absorbed, but in every area, your spiritual life. You know how many people I know that have sat on church pews for 20, 30, 40 years, and they're no better than they were maybe 5 or 10 years in because they've plateaued and they haven't improved any at all? They've just been coasting on that original spirituality with no growth, no improvement, and no chance for improvement because they're making no effort to improve at all. And they're still going through the same things day in and day out that they were going through 25 years ago. Now, you could be younger, maybe you've only been really focusing and following Jesus for maybe a year, and you should be seeing consistent growth. But here's one of the things you have to do. You have to ensure that you are growing each and every day. You cannot let up. You must constantly be striving for the next level, because here's the thing. With every level, there is another level you have not yet attained. And you will not have enough time on this earth to ever attain it all. So keep going for more. Keep pushing for more. Keep excelling in everything you do. And while other people may try big things, and they may make some big improvements all at once, but then there's no consistency. And eventually, if you don't keep going and progressing forward, you're going to have a slip backwards. You see this constantly throughout the scripture, backsliding Israel, constantly going backwards, never continuing forward. But that doesn't have to be you. Whether it be your finances, whether it be your education, whether it be your family life, whether it be your relationships with others, whatever it may be, whatever endeavors you are putting forth your effort and passion into, you can constantly be improving. You do not have to plateau. You do not have to level off. You don't have to go backwards. You can continually improve each and every day. And as far as spirituality, since I talk about finances and I have hundreds of videos about finance and money and business and success, I'm going to deal a little bit more with spirituality and following Jesus in this video because I want people to understand this also applies to everything else in your life, whether it be your health, it be your relationships, how you interact with people, your finances, of course. When you get into this church rut that many people get themselves into, where they're just going to church every Sunday and Wednesday or whatever day it may be, and they're kind of at a plateau. They're not growing any. They read the scripture out of some sense of duty, and they pray because they think they need to do it. Otherwise, it's almost like a concept of, if I don't do this, then somehow God's going to work against me. And things aren't going to go my way. I got to make sure I'm praying. And it's not for the right motives anymore. And the scripture becomes a duty, just reading something. I got to read the Bible each day and that kind of stuff. And the progress is stalled out. And maybe even it's going backwards. Now, some of this can come from people letting the cares of the world. And what I mean by that is not just regular daily life. That's also part of it. But they're getting involved in the media and the news and all this stuff and secular nonsense and listening to garbage music, watching ridiculous children's sports that grown men are playing, and all these things that drag them down, lower their vibration, keep them from being at a higher level. And I'll tell you one thing that is missing in many people's lives, and it's something you almost never hear, and one of the reasons you don't hear is because a lot of the pastors are fat. and they're gluttons, and they're given over to the lust of the flesh. Their God is their belly, as the scripture says. They mind the belly. They mind the things of the flesh. But it's fasting. You know, Jesus made an interesting point about the Pharisees, that if your righteousness does not exceed their righteousness, and you know what they did that was righteous and just and good? They fasted twice a week. Now, I'm not telling you have to fast twice a week, but my point is that this is something that is almost completely left out in many people's spiritual practice. Fasting. Jesus even went into the wilderness and fasted for 40 days. This is a common spiritual practice of denying the flesh and letting that spirit man rise up out of you and become greater and to the forefront. And this is something that is almost unheard of in most people's Christian practice today. And yet it should be something that is done regularly. But another thing is actually seeking God for growth and grace. You know, many people just want to know new little tidbits and facts, like it's a trivia contest about the scripture. But what if you take what you do learn from the scripture, which most of the scripture, a lot of it is basic stuff, like the science of the scripture, when it talks about God created the heaven and the earth. Okay, well, we know that. It doesn't explain all the intricacies of the heavens and the earth, all the intricacies of the quantum field. Obviously, the scripture is not intended to explain every single thing that ever exists and why it exists and how it exists and the inner workings of everything. That's not the purpose of it. But see, you can grow in grace and get wisdom and receive wisdom from God and the leading of the Spirit, that you will start to learn of these things. God will show you. He will reveal them to you. I'm not talking about doctrinal things that go beyond the scripture. You don't need that, because the scripture contains everything you need for doctrine and life. But much of it is not understood until you've been enlightened in other areas. Then you can see the truth that was already in the scripture. And this is one of the benefits of living in the day and age you live in, is that we have so much access to so much information, and it has opened the eyes of our understanding to the scriptures and to God's creation, and into the inner workings of how things work and how we can use them to our benefit and to the benefit of others. And this is something that many people in ancient days did not have access to. They had some sneak peeks into things, but the eyes of their understanding were not enlightened, and they were darkened many times in what they could understand, and limited and hindered from it. And yet the veil has been removed. We can see clearly by the grace of God, by the enlightening of the Spirit, leading us into all truth, and He will teach us all things. So that's why I want to encourage you today. You need to progress in all areas, yes. But try this. Try each and every day. If there's something in your life you need corrected, something in your life you need wisdom for, ask this. If it's your finances, God, how can I pay my mortgage? And get His wisdom. Father, how can I create this business? See, many people go in and they're begging and pleading and whining to God. But see, that's not the attitude of someone who is in faith, believing. That's someone who's wavering, who's doubting, who's just hoping that maybe this will work and God will answer my prayer. But that kind of prayer doesn't get results. I wrote a book a number of years ago called Prayer That Actually Works. And in that book, I show you how to pray and get results from your prayers. But you have to do it in faith. And this is one of the things. When you go to God in faith believing, you'll get that answer. Not only will you get the answer to your prayer, the revelation that you needed, the wisdom that you needed from Him, but you will also have His favor working for you to bring the things you need together to get the result that you want. And many people are going through life not even seeking God's wisdom at all. And He gives liberally to any who will seek Him, any who will ask in faith, they will receive. And there's so much wisdom, so much knowledge out there that you'll never grasp. And the knowledge that you do need, the wisdom that you do need right here and now, is freely available to you, just at your fingertips, waiting for you to ask. And each and every day you can progress even more and more by asking God for wisdom for your day and seeking that wisdom and, most importantly, receiving it freely. My friend, I pray this is a blessing for you. May God bless you richly.